What's going on? If you're like me, you're probably wondering if I'm ever going to work on the Fleetwood again. The answer is yes. And today is the day that we're going to work on it. So as you've seen, I've been hoarding some parts, stocking them up. It took a little while, but stuff's finally starting to come together. I'm going to work on my trailing arms today. And if I could suggest anything, is buy a kit. I'm in this, I could have probably bought like 4 kits by now. I had to get some bushings machined. I tried finding some pipe that would fit. I tried to find tubing that would fit. It'd probably work if I went with the typical push-in style bushings. Wanted to go with the factory bushings just because that's what I wanted to do. So, bought some pipe. Actually, I went to the machine shop. Dude gave me some metal. I asked him how much it would cost to get machined. It was pretty expensive. I told him I had a lathe at work. Told him I could maybe do it, inside. As a side project, when I'm on break and stuff like that at work. But my machining skills are not the greatest in the world. I mean, I can get by, but they would have took me forever. I'll show you what he gave me to work with. So I'm trying to make this. And this is what he gave me to work with. It's about a 3-inch solid piece of steel. Yes, it can be made out of that. It'd be very, very, very time consuming, and I'd probably burn up just about every piece of tooling we have at work doing it. So he told me about another shop down the road, and went and stopped, talked to the guy. Dude is really cool. He kind of got where I was coming from. He knew how much I was invested in this already. I told him the same thing. I could have bought multiple kits by now. But I asked him. I said, you have anything laying around that would fit this? I told him, I could maybe do it at work. Yeah, so we looked around and we found some pipe. I don't remember what size it was. It was pretty good stuff because he took a good bit out of here. And I asked him, I was like, how much you charge to maybe 6 of them? 6 or 8? 8. Yeah, 8. No, 6. Because I'm using these for the axle. So yeah, 6 of them. Told me $100, or actually told me $75. I was like, sold, deal. Going in the machine shop and getting out for under 100, that doesn't happen. So I told him it was a deal. And so he made them for me. Went and picked them up. I gave him a bushing. He made them just right. Make it where it'll press in or it'll slide in, and then it'll press the rest of the way. So I'm happy with that. I actually gave him $100 because I really appreciated what he did, and I knew he underbid. I gave him the money. He was like, I'll grab you some change. I said, man, you can keep the change. He was like, thanks, because I kind of underbid it. I was like, yeah, I know you did. I said, that's why I jumped on the situation while I could. But we got these, and we got our pipe right here. I used 1.5 inch Schedule 80. That was good and thick. And these bad boys here, they slide right in there. Good snug fit. So I'm gonna get it where I want it. Run me a bead around there. Put me some plug welds in there. It ain't going nowhere. Plus it'll be twice as strong because it's sleeved. And you got about 6 inches going up in there. That's what she said. And it'll make it a lot stronger. So we're gonna get building these things. Kind of talk to you about coping them. And we'll go from there. So as you can see here, I have a very precise jig table. Actually, I'm just using it because the bridge is somewhat straight, and my table is not straight at all. It's been beat and abused for many years. So I'm using this flat surface here between the spring birches, kind of lay everything out and keep it straight as I can. So I started coping these because I got to fit on these bushing ends, just like so. And I thought to myself, I've got these fancy little tools here. Back when I used to do pipe, you just slap it on, mark it, cope it. Works really well because I don't have a tubing notcher. But it works really good. So I laid one out, ground it, coped it, and then I thought to myself, this works perfectly if you're butting up to the same size pipe, which I am not doing. I'm going to a bigger pipe. So that went out the window, and I had to cope it by hand anyways. But I will show you a little trick that you can do if you're doing this project for some ungodly reason. So you don't have to just manually cope every single one, because it is very time consuming. But I'll show you just how to make a wraparound, just like we did with the spring perches. And that'll save you a bunch of time and fitting, because you can get it pretty well roughed in, and then just do a little bit of grinding here and there to get it to actually fit right. Because that's what I'm gonna do, because I've got one that fits good, and I gotta make a bunch more, and I don't want to waste a whole ton of time doing it. So as always, I got my trusty cardboard, and I'm gonna make me a straight cut. That will be so I can line it back up after I wrap around the pipe. And I'm not sure exactly off the top of my head how long this needs to be, so I'm just cutting a round piece. Alright, now we got a somewhat straight piece. We will use it and wrap it around here. So we can use it the other way. We will wrap around, and what we want to do is we want that end right there, to overlap this end. That'll tell us we got it somewhat true. Go ahead and cut this end off. Probably should get a stronger or a sharper razor blade, I should say. But we ain't got time for that. I had to wrap it the other way. That would have showed better. Alright, so we'll go ahead and wrap it up, and we'll just, like I said, we'll get those to meet. That way it'll be somewhat true. Actually went pretty good. I am happy with that. Yeah, maybe we'll get lucky. I can just put an indentation in it with my hand. Actually, I got a Sharpie right here, so I'll just run that around. And voila, you got yourself a squiggly line. And what that squiggly line will do is when you cut it out and you lay it on your pipe, it'll give you a template for a fish mouth or coping, whatever you want to call it. And now we have our squiggly line all cut out. When we wrap it back around the pipe, it should fit, as long as our points line up. And that'll save you a ton of time. So I've got a bunch more of these to do, and then I'll bring you back when I actually get started on building the arms. All right, I'll give you a kind of quick rundown of how I measure this. Pipe can be kind of tricky as far as measuring. One thing I've always been taught is go off the center of pipe. As you can see it right there, the bottom touches, so it makes it a little bit easier to measure off of. But what I did here, again, I'm using my bridge just because it's a good flat surface. It's metal, I can lay out lines on it. But what I did, kind of figured out where I want it on the table. You know, nothing has to be, very specific about that. I just wanted some horizontal lines and some vertical lines. And what all these lines do, as you can see, I wanted to lay out the back of my bushing. That way I knew that they were the same going this way. So it made me a line going all the way across, butted my bushing up to it. And then also, I got my first one that I laid out, or made, run me a straight line across. That is square with those lines here and there. So I can lay my pipe in between. Actually, I didn't have that line to start out with. I started with this line and laid it out. And I use that line so I know that it's going straight. Because if I didn't have it, it could go like that, which would make a wrong measurement. It could go like that, which would make the wrong measurement. So, trip over everything. We get that where it needs to be. We get that going down straight. And then we can get our measurement. And I did the same thing over here. I made this one longer. I just rough cut it with a cutoff wheel. Line my back bushing up. Set that there. Once again, I use my center line to make sure those are straight. And then I just marked my tubing pipe, whatever it is. I just marked it where this line was, so I know those two are the same distance. So maybe that'll help you lay out pipe. There probably is an easier way. I just figured that'd be the easiest way right now to do it. So that is what I did. And we'll go on to laying these ones out now. Now that I've coped them, that was fun. So putting a tubing cutter or a tubing notcher on the list of things to get. Not that I use it that often, but when I do, it would be handy. So just in case I kind of lost you, working on my longer piece of the arm now. And had to move everything back. If I would have thought about it, I would have just laid it out from this line, or I would have drew this line and laid everything out. So I could do both arms at once, but ain't no biggie. Just moved it back, still using my same center line, I just made it longer. This is our arm that's cut to length, and we're trying to match this arm up to it. So I'll go ahead and mark right here. And I'll run my square, put my line down, just like that. And I'll lay my longer piece on here and just measure where I need to cut it off at. And now we have our distance that we need to cut it off at. Simple enough, I assume. So now that we've got all of our pieces built to make one arm, we're going to go ahead and start laying it out. I'm not welding these on yet. I got to tackle this first. For starters, I got to get my distance right. So we'll be good there. And second of all, you can see there's some wiggle room there. We don't want that. We want it as straight as a line as we can make. And I'll show you how to do that. But first, I'm going to figure out what my distance needs to be. Yeah, I can just lay these by each other and kind of eyeball it. But I'm going to try and do a little bit better job than that. And if you watch my video on how to set up trailing arms, you'll already know how to do this. We're going to measure the inside and the outside. I'm going from center bolt hole to center bolt hole. But you're probably saying there's no bushing in there, so you can't measure center bolt hole to center bolt hole. That's where inside and outside measurements come in hand. As long as those two are the same distances, it'll measure the middle just the same as it measures from the sides. So I got 29 inches there. From inside to outside, actually outside to inside. And I almost got it right on the dot just by guessing. You come in 1/8 of an inch. Boom, on the money. So now I will make me a mark because I'm not going to weld it on here. And this here is how we can keep it straight. Just a basic piece of angle. Doesn't really even matter what size. Just as long as your pipe fits in it. Ooh, as I drop it. Kind of an excessive piece of angle, but I don't feel like cutting anything down. But that'll keep it straight. You see it kind of just locks in there. Doesn't wiggle. Fits in there good. You can clamp it down, or probably will. Probably wouldn't be a bad idea because once you tack that, it's going to pull up. So, now we got our spots. Happy with it. Straight. We'll clamp it down, tack away. Now we got it ready to tack up. Almost forgot my plug welds. You guys got to remind me of that kind of stuff. So as you see, got it all clamped down in the angle. Got it where I want it measurement wise. I'm going to do 4 tacks. On the bottom 2. And I'm just tacking this because I just want to make sure that everything is the way I wanted it to be still. I'm going to fit it all up in the car. And once it's all tacked together, I'll weld the ends on because there shouldn't be no reason why I'd have to take those back off. But just in case I need to lengthen them just a hair or shorten them just a little bit more, I can still take it apart. Got those 2 sides tacked. I'm going to let it cool down. I'm going to wait till it's just cold as can be. If you're wondering how you drill a hole through pipe without your drill bit wandering off every time, get you a center punch. Put your little dimples in there and use a small drill bit and it won't walk off. If you don't have one of these, you should get one. They're cheap. I think the parts stores even sell them. But they also double as a scribe. So you want to scratch something on there. You see I scratched that earlier. Actually shows up really good on camera. But yeah, so it's kind of a 2-for-1 deal. And if you're going to be doing any kind of fabrication, it's just a good thing to have. It makes you a lot more precise. You don't have to worry about marking something, going to drill it, and your drill bit walking off, and your hole's not lining up. So definitely a good thing to have. I don't know a way to make it any straighter. It's pretty good. Good enough for me, at least. Now here is something to keep in mind. This is pipe. It started out as a flat piece of metal. It was wrapped around a mandrel when welded. So that is a seam right there. That is the weakest point of this piece of metal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean that up. I'm going to put that inside the coat. That way my other pipe is right here, tying it all together. That way it can do the best it can to make that not ever break. Give it the most strength you possibly can. You put your arm over here, you put enough stress on that, it could break. Granted, as thick as that is, we shouldn't have any problems whatsoever. But I would rather way overkill it than not kill it at all and end up killing me or someone else. So keep that in mind. Keep your seams inside. And as far as lining up the ends, once again I'm using the bridge, just setting it down flat, just button up the end. It's got it pretty square. If your bushing was wider than your arm, or if your arm was narrower than your bushing, just throw you some shims under there, plate, key stock, pretty much anything. But this one is pretty well the same. So I'm just buttoning them up, welding them. And there's where that seam is I was talking about earlier. You can see I put it on the inside of the arm, so it'll have weld all the way around there. That way it won't have any chance of popping open. That about wraps it up. Still got to do the centers, but like I said, I'm going to fit it on the car. that's about the end of it. Made a little bit more progress. It's one step at a time. This thing isn't going to be built overnight by any means. You know, just saving up a little bit here and there and buying parts, putting them all together like a puzzle. So, hope that helped you out. If you have any questions, or if you have any questions of building some control arms, or just curious on how to do it, you know, just do it. That's all I can say. I didn't really have any good measurements. You know, I didn't really have any formula I went off of. I just laid under the car, pulled some lines, you know, threw some raggedy arms together, see if anything bound up. Didn't bind up, so hopefully I'm on the right path. We'll find out once I put everything together and drive the car. We'll see how that goes. But anyways, that's about it for today. I'm going to try and keep the videos short and sweet. A lot of people have short attention spans. What was it doing? Nah. But, yeah, so that's it for today. Hit the like button, subscribe, share, comment. You got any better idea of how to build control arms, let me know. I'm always open for suggestions. Fairly smart, but I'm not the smartest person in the world, that's for sure. You know, 10 different ways to do a simple task. So, all right, till then, we'll see you on the next go around. What seems to be the problem? Good shot. Got away free. It lives to die another day.